DreAllDay.com.
Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, especially yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into one bundle, one framework, one mindset, one approach, one way of living, one movement, one brand, one philosophy. We made a book about it. We got a university that you can enroll in right now. It is all called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is why your discipline feels like punishment. Now, discipline is, as you know, if you've been listening to the show, if you listen to this episode, the very first thing that I said, every day we introduce the show is the discipline of showing up every single day to do the work. But that's not always so easy. I mean, it's not always easy to show up every day and do the work. If it was, then listen, work on your game might not exist. I might have to be talking about something else because working on your game would just be a normal thing. It became kind of like somebody had a podcast called, Breathe Consistently. Anybody who had a challenge with doing that, well, they're not allowed to hear about it, and everybody else does it automatically. So if work and showing up every day and doing the work was an easy thing, I wouldn't be talking about it. So discipline, I'm going to acknowledge that it can be a hard thing for any of us, and it's really hard. It's doubly hard, triple hard, 10 times as hard when we use discipline the wrong way. And today we're going to uncover what exactly I mean by that. Today I'm going to share with you why you may feel that your attempts at discipline are costing you a lot more than they're making you. So you're trying to be disciplined and you're doing things in a disciplined way, or at least what you think are a disciplined way, or what someone told you is a disciplined way of doing things. But it feels like, you're, extracting teeth with your bare hands. It doesn't feel too good for you. It feels like I've seen a video where somebody ties a little, like a piece of dental floss or something around a tooth, and then they tie the other end to a rope, and then the rope is tied to like a pickup truck. And then somebody just puts the pickup truck in drive and starts driving and try to pull that tooth out. Maybe it'll work, but it'll probably be very painful. So if you're feeling like your discipline is very painful right now, feels like punishment, it's a grind, I'm going to help you out with that. I'm going to tell you why you're having that problem, and then we're going to reverse engineer it so you know what to do to fix this issue. And if you have not yet already claimed your free copy of my book, The Mirror of Motivation, The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline, then I would suggest you go, while you're listening to me talk, you're on your phone, I know you're on your phone, go to mirrorofmotivation.com. That's mirror, like the glass thing in the bathroom that you look at every day, mirrorofmotivation.com. Claim your free copy of the book, just cover the shipping, and we will ship that to you anywhere in the world. So by the time you get done listening to this, we already got your order and we're already packaging your book and getting ready to send it to you. Again, mirrormotivation.com. Point number one, topic once again is why your discipline feels like punishment. Number one reason why this is happening is because you have to remember to do it. It feels like punishment. You got to remember to do something that you probably are not excited about doing. In other words, the reason why you have to remember your discipline is because you do not have a system in place that ensures the consistency that becomes discipline. This is why it's not working for you. You don't have a system there that makes sure the consistency is there. And therefore, the discipline is not happening because you got to keep remembering. And sometimes you forget because human beings, we're human. We're not perfect. We don't remember everything. A man told me a long time ago, about 20 years ago, this business guy, said, Dre, I trust a short pencil over a long memory any day. And what he was saying was putting something in writing, putting something into some type of system that is automatically followed or is at least there. It's down on paper somewhere. So that is much more trustworthy, much more reliable than hoping that we'll remember something in our minds. Because, look at what we're doing with our minds. We got all kinds of things going on in our heads at all times. And every time we pick up our smartphone devices, we get 1,000 other things that get thrown at us. And sometimes we just forget. Not because we're trying to forget, but we just forget. That's just the whole thing. So how do you put that consistency in place so that it can become discipline on its own? When I train someone to do a job for me, for example, if I'm teaching somebody, let's say I want to teach you to take an article that I wrote and I put it in Google Docs, and I want you to get it up on my website, DreAllDay.com. I want you to set it to send out to my email list. I want you to post it on my LinkedIn profile, and I want you to post it on Facebook, and I want you to share it to Twitter. I want you to do all that with this article that I just wrote. If I'm training you to do that job, I'm going to teach you the entire process. I will do it myself. And as I'm doing it, I'm showing you every step that I'm taking. So basically, if I'm on a computer, I'm going to do the entire thing. And as I'm doing it, I'm just walking you through and talking you through every single action that I'm taking, what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it. So here's step one. You got to copy. First of all, go grab the title of the article, which I already wrote. Then go into WordPress and create new posts. Then you paste in the title. Then you go back to the Google document and grab all the content. You copy paste that, put that into WordPress. So now all the material is there. Now we need a featured image. Now we're going to put the schedule and the date and the time and all the tags, all these other things that we're going to do. I'm going to take you through every single step of exactly what to do every time. All that person, being you, would have to do is follow the process. And the reason why I'm explaining to you why I'm doing everything, because maybe I'm not as efficient as I could be. Maybe you're smarter than me when it comes to this stuff, and you can improve on the process because you understand why I'm doing each part. So I'll say to you, this is the way that I do it, but if you know of a way to do this faster or more efficiently, then go ahead and do it that way. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know what changes you're going to make and why you're making them. And if it makes sense, I'll say, you know what, that's great. You're pretty smart. I knew I was smart in hiring you. Let's make that edit so we can make this process even more efficient. So I'll tell you what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. You see an improvement, opportunity, improve it, but I can't expect or demand you to produce disciplined results. I can't be mad at you if my new article doesn't get sent out to my email subscribers as expected if I didn't tell you about how to do it, or if I didn't explain it properly, or if there's something that I left out in the process of explaining to you how it's done, or my articles are not getting shared to LinkedIn or Twitter or posted on Facebook, but I never talked about that. I said, make sure these get shared to LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. That's all I say. And I don't show you exactly how to do it. I don't tell you how to log into my accounts. I don't grant you access or admin access to be able to do it. And then it doesn't happen. I can't be mad at you because I didn't put the process in place properly. That's my responsibility. So you can't, and you shouldn't, expect or demand disciplined results from yourself or from anyone else if there has not been a disciplined process provided to you or to that person, whoever that's going to be. You need to create your processes for doing things so that you don't have to remember to execute. See, the process itself will work for you if you have a process. And this is something that last month in the open Q&A, or I don't know when you're listening to this, but in the month of November, in open Q&A for Work on Your Game University, I got a question from someone who asked me, Dre, do you have a normal process for, like a normal schedule for how you work? And I explained to them, I wake up about 3:45 a.m. I don't use an alarm clock, so it's somewhere between 3:40 and 4 a.m. every single day. And then the first thing that I do, I actually start my day with about 3 hours of self-care. Not 3 hours of work, but about 3 hours of self-care. So between 4 o'clock when I wake up and 7:30 a.m., what I'm doing is yoga, meditation, drinking water, eating some fruit for breakfast, having a protein shake. That's all I have in the morning. I do not eat a meal for breakfast. I'm working out. That workout could be lifting weights. It could be some form of cardio. There's stretching. There is foam rolling. What else am I doing? Maybe going to a pool or jacuzzi, depending on where I'm living and what kind of facilities we got and what the weather is outside. And if I feel like doing that, shaving, showering, listening to podcasts, might be listening to my own podcast, might be listening to myself right now as I'm talking about this. And that's it. That takes about 3 hours of the day, every single day. That's how I start my days. And then from 7:30 to about 5:30, I'm doing work. And the work can change from day to day. Some days I might record 5 episodes of the Work on Your Game show back to back to back, just so I have them all done in bulk. Some days I might be appearing on other people's media shows, like a podcast or somebody's YouTube channel or somebody's radio show, or making an appearance somewhere. I might be doing a live Zoom call or something like that. As of the fall of 2020, we can't really do anything in person. So I might be doing some Zoom events that would normally be a live event in person, but we can't right now. I may be having a conversation with my assistant, which is something that is one thing that is usually set on the schedule, but the amount of time that those conversations take can change from day to day. The one thing that is set in the schedule is that I am going to have lunch around 10:30, between 10:30 and 11:15. I usually have lunch, and then I have dinner around somewhere in the 4 o'clock hour. But in between all of that, I'm doing work. So I'm either working on something online, I'm building the sales funnel, I'm replying to emails, I'm making sure orders are getting shipped out, I am creating content, I might be on Instagram stories. There are all kinds of things I could be doing over the course of the day, but that's pretty much how my day is structured. But there's a process for it. There's a process that every single day when I wake up, I already got my workout clothes laid out. I eat 2 bananas before I go to the gym. That's the only thing I eat in the morning before I work out. I already have them out and sitting on the table next to my workout clothes or wherever my stuff is before I go. I already got my earbuds that I'm going to be using for my workout. They're already in place. They're already charged up. I already got my workout shoes. I got the clothes that I'm going to wear. I even got the clothes that I'm going to wear the next day already laid out. So when I finish my workout and I come back home and I'm showering, I need to get dressed, I already have the clothes that I'm wearing that day already laid out. I already have everything in place. And there's a process for it. So I don't have to remember to do any of these things. And if I ever forget to do them, I'm asking myself, damn, why did I forget that? And if I'm ever missing something, my subconscious mind is going to quickly let me know, hey, you're missing something because you didn't mention that, you didn't do that thing that is part of the process. I will automatically notice that I didn't follow a certain step in the process. So that process allows me to be efficient and allows me to get the same results and getting the same things done over and over and over again every single day. But there's a process in place. For example, whenever I would travel, I don't know if any of you ever had the experience of traveling, and then when you get to the airport, or even when you're traveling to the airport, you might be in an Uber, or you're driving, or you're taking a taxi or something like that. I don't know if anybody takes taxis anymore. Or maybe you're even on the plane, going to where you're going, or in the airport, about to get on the flight to go to where you go, and you start racking your brain and thinking, did I forget anything? Or maybe you've had the dreaded experience of realizing that you forgot something. Has anyone ever had that happen? Or has anyone ever just had those thoughts of, damn, did I forget anything? So one thing that I started doing in periods where I'm traveling a lot is I just started writing down every single thing that needs to be packed with me every time that I travel. So I made sure I wrote down, all right, let me make sure I'm packing 3 of those white cords that go with the iPhone. So let me make sure I'm packing my laptop and the charger for my laptop. Make sure I'm packing my toiletries bag that has the travel toothpaste and contact lens solution and the contact lens case and everything I need to shave and the stuff that I can't even pack to the day that I'm actually getting on the plane because I use it every morning, things like that. Let me make sure I will write all those things down. So then every time I'm getting on a plane or I'm about to get on a flight, I just go to my list of everything I need to make sure I do. And I just go down it. Did I have this, and I just check and make sure I have them all of them there so I'm not going off of memory. So that way, again, I'm trusting the short pencil or the pencil that is the smartphone screen. I'm trusting that over my long memory of trying to remember, or long-term memory of trying to remember everything that's supposed to go into the process. So when you're trying to remember to do things, discipline is going to be a grind for you because you will inevitably forget. You will inevitably not do it the same way, the same time, each time. Your consistency will start to fail and you're going to start to feel like it's not even worth it because you're not getting any results. And if you're not getting results from something, it's hard to keep going. It's really hard to keep trying something when it's not working, especially when you have no reason you can't see over the horizon that this is going to turn into something. It's pretty hard to keep trying. I mean, I think everybody can agree that they've had that experience, that it's hard to keep trying with something that you're not quite sure is going to work. Maybe you've given up on it already. Maybe right now you find yourself in the midst of trying something that's not quite working and you're not sure if you should even keep trying. But understand, maybe it's because you don't have a process in place. And in Work on Your Game University, you can come right into the community and post a challenge about that. We'll make sure we get that handled immediately. You can do that your first day. And that's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. So the process itself, everybody, is what works for you. Don't expect yourself to do the work. There's only so much work any individual is going to be able to do over and over, especially if you have to remember to do the work. When you put a process in place, the process is really doing the work for you. All you had to do is follow it. So when it comes to me setting up my workout clothes and my protein shake the night before and my bananas that I'm going to drink and the water bananas I'm going to eat and the water that I'm going to drink and the workout that I'm going to do, there's just a process in place. I know what I'm doing. I can tell you everything I'm going to do workout-wise for the next 10 days right now today. I can just go through each day. Whatever day it is now, it's Sunday now that I'm recording this, I can tell you what I'm doing Monday through I can tell you the next 2 weeks. I can tell you the rest of the year what I'm going to be doing every single day workout-wise, barring any unforeseen circumstances, but there will be unforeseen. So let's just say the next week or two. I know what I'm doing because the process is what does the work. All I had to do is look at, all right, what day is it? All right, what part of the process am I in? I'm here. All right, that's what I got to do next. When the process is in place, the discipline's easy. I talked about this in a recent episode about how to make discipline easy, which is episode number 1643. How to make discipline easy is having a process in place. Aside from being a robot, which I said I have some robot, I have a good amount of robot in me, but what allows me to be a robot is the fact that I use processes. And that's how I can do the same things over and over and over and over again consistently. Like, for example, put this show out. Like, for example, go to the gym every day. Like, wake up every single day without an alarm clock, because there's a process in place. That makes the discipline of doing it easy. So it might look like magic to someone who has never had processes. But when you have a process, you can do magic too. All right, magic is not actually magic. It's just a process that some people just don't know about and don't understand. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is why your discipline feels like punishment. The second reason is because you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't really want to do. No wonder it feels like you're pulling teeth. Who wants to pull out their own teeth? All right, anybody want to get a tooth pulled? Maybe if the tooth is problematic and you're getting toothaches and stuff like that, and it's hard for you to drink liquids or eat food on that side of your mouth, then you probably want to get that tooth pulled. But who wants to get a healthy tooth? Any of you want to just have one of your healthy teeth just pulled out of your mouth with no, what do they call it? Like the local anesthesia? You don't want anything. They're just going to pull it out. That would probably be extremely painful. All right, so if you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't really want to do, it feels like pulling teeth because you don't want to do it. All right, that's the problem right there. All right, there's no complex explanation behind it. All right, you don't want to do it, and that's why you don't like it. And this will always fail in the long run, folks. If nobody ever told you, I'm telling you. Even when you succeed at forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do, in the long run, that is a failing strategy, because if you don't really want to do it, eventually you're not going to do it, or you're going to half-ass doing it, and you're not going to get the results that you want. And you're going to hate yourself. You're going to beat yourself up over forcing yourself to do something that you don't really want to do. All right, do you want to hate yourself? Do you want to beat yourself up? Do you want to be punching yourself in the face because you're forcing yourself to do things that you don't really want to do? Then stop trying. If you never really wanted something in the first place, but then you force yourself towards it, you force yourself to do it, you force yourself to execute on it, you're gonna be mad at you, and you'll probably resent whatever that thing is that you end up, quote unquote, succeeding at. You succeed at doing something you didn't really want to do, you're gonna resent it because you never wanted it. I tell people about discipline one thing: it only works when you're using it for something that you want. It only, quote unquote, works. Discipline doesn't really work. Discipline is an inanimate idea. It doesn't really work. Humans work. Processes work. Actually, a process doesn't work either. All right, the process just tells the human what work to do. The process makes it easy for the human to know what work to do. Now, you got to have some kind of personal initiative to execute on that work. But discipline itself and processes themselves don't do anything. All right, they just provide you frameworks. So what I tell people about discipline, the key to discipline, when people ask me, I might go speak somewhere and I talk about discipline. I talk about this concept the third day, and I talk about the first day and the fourth day. And people are like, well, how can somebody become disciplined? How can I become disciplined? I never had discipline before. How do I get started? The first thing that I tell people, especially business audiences and professionals and people who just want to be more disciplined for whatever reason. A lot of times it's not even what they do for a living. It's something outside of it. It's like somebody has a successful career, but they want to be more disciplined in exercising. Or somebody wants to get up early, or someone wants to work on a hobby or something like that. It's often the people who are asking about discipline for their professional careers are usually either the bosses who want people to just be more efficient, or it's people who haven't quite gotten fully into their careers yet, and they're trying to be more disciplined so they can get closer to getting to that outcome sooner. So the answer is, you have to actually be doing something that you want to do. Now, it seems like a really simple concept, because it is a really simple concept. But look at your own life. How many things right now in your life are you voluntarily forcing yourself to keep trying and keep doing, even though you don't really want to do them? Now, let me be clear what I'm asking you here. I'm not saying doing things that are necessary evil of your situation. You might not like taking out the trash, but nobody else is going to take out the trash, so you take out the trash. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you forcing yourself to try to do something or be something that you don't really want to do, or that you don't really want to be. Maybe you're forcing yourself to run some people don't like doing cardio. This is a great example. I like doing cardio. I'm the type of person, I will go outside and run 8 miles. I like doing that. I feel good when I get done running 8 miles. I feel better when I'm running 8 miles consistently than when I don't run 8 miles consistently. As long as I'm physically capable of doing it, I like doing that kind of cardio. I like riding my bike for 20 miles, even though I don't have one of those super high-tech bikes, the people with the skin tight uniforms and all that, and with the helmets, and they ride in packs of 20. I don't have a bike like that. I got a regular bike, but I still like riding 20 miles and doing the cardio. That's fun to me. Some of you are listening to me and you're like, that's excruciating. I would never want to do that. ever do that. And here's the thing. There are some people out there who hate cardio, yet they keep trying to force themselves to do cardio. They're going to the gym and forcing themselves onto the treadmill even though they hate it, or the elliptical, or the exercise bike, or they're outside jogging, or outside riding a bike, or trying to do some cardio with someone who loves cardio, and they're not able to keep up because they hate it. It's not because, part of it is that you're not physically capable. Another reason is you just hate doing it. You don't like doing it. If you don't like doing cardio, stop doing cardio. Because nobody's forcing you to do it. You can find another way to exercise your heart and live long and be healthy besides forcing yourself to do things that you don't want to do. The great thing about the world today is that the democratization of information. So you can find the information for other ways of going about that. And if you want some help with that, again, join us at Work on Your Game University. Come into the community. Anything where you're forcing yourself to be disciplined or something that is completely voluntary that you don't really have to be doing, then we can help you out. And if you're forcing yourself to be disciplined on something and it feels excruciating and it's not voluntary, it is something that needs to be done and you're kind of responsible, but you're still finding it excruciating, it's probably because you don't have a process in place. Let me help you with that. Join us at workonyourgameuniversity.com. So the reason why many people are struggling with discipline, this is point number 2 we're still on. It only works when you're using it for something that you want. All right? Don't try to force yourself into a place where you don't belong, into a thing that you shouldn't be doing because you heard discipline is a good thing, or because you've been listening to this show and I open talking about discipline all the time. If you want to quit gambling, for example, or drinking or watching porn, that discipline is going to hurt. But you would be willing to go through that discipline if you really want to get that result, because you know what's on the other side of the pain, that you'll stop gambling away your money and your family will love you again. Or you'll stop, or they'll like you again. Man, they probably still love you. You'll stop drinking, so you'll stop feeling, however somebody feels when they drink too much, and you'll stop blowing your money on alcohol, and you'll feel better and healthier, and you'll probably live longer. Or you'll stop watching porn and investing all that time into watching the porn, and who knows, maybe your love life and your sex life will improve in real life, aside from the imaginary life of watching porn. You know that there's something positive on the other side of it, is my point. So you're willing to go through that discipline, even though it may be very painful. What I've read many stories of people who somehow, some way got hooked on drugs, some type of drug that they were taking, and then they went into rehab, or they got incarcerated, which is, incarceration is like a forced rehab, because if you're a drug addict and then you get locked up for 2 weeks, you can't have that drug for 2 weeks. So you're forced into rehab. Or if you check into a rehab facility, you can't have the drug either, but maybe they're a little bit nicer about it, a little bit more empathetic about it, but you still can't have that drug. And you go through what they call withdrawals. And I think everybody, or some people who are listening to this, have been through withdrawals of some type of drug that maybe you were really into. Maybe the drug was sugar. Sugar can be a drug. Maybe it was caffeine, those of you who drink coffee. Maybe it was alcohol. Maybe it was tobacco or cigarettes. Maybe it was some kind of hard drug, and you went through a withdrawal phase. Maybe it was forced upon you. Maybe you chose to do it, and it was damn hard. It was a real serious challenge for you to go through the withdrawals of getting off of that thing. But hopefully you wanted to do it. Hopefully you were doing it on your own volition, and you were willing to go through that because you knew it was going to be on the other side. You knew something positive was going to happen on the other side of you dealing with that pain. But if you didn't want to do it, why even deal with the pain? You probably found a way around it, you did find a way around it, and you stopped going through the withdrawals because you went and got your fix and went and drunk another cup of coffee, had another beer, watched some more porn, because you didn't want what was on the other side of it more than you wanted to continue doing the thing that you were doing. All of us have either seen this in ourselves or we've seen it in other people. I think most of us have experienced it firsthand, maybe on different levels, maybe not with something that is these common things that I mentioned, like porn or gambling or alcohol or drugs, but you may have experienced it in other ways, things that you are used to doing all the time, and you went through the pain of not doing it anymore because you knew there was something positive on the other side. For example, if you're the type of person who every time somebody disagrees with you, you argue with them. But you know that every time you get in an argument with people, you end up alienating them or pissing yourself off, or you get really angry, or there's a big blow up between you and another person, maybe a spouse, maybe a friend, maybe a coworker, maybe somebody who works for you, maybe you going back and forth on Facebook and wasting your time. You realize that that's not a positive outcome that you want. You want to stop having that negative outcome. So what you want to do is save your sanity and save your energy and also save yourself some time. So the next time somebody says something and that would normally trigger you to argue, you got to go through the pain of not arguing back, not saying anything back, holding your tongue or holding your thumbs because it might be something on the internet, but you're willing to go through the pain of that discipline because you know it's something positive on the other side that you actually want. Here's the bottom line of point number 2. If you don't want it, discipline will not work for you. Okay, discipline is not a magic elixir. Even though somebody may try to have you believe that it is not. Discipline works with you. Discipline does not work for you, it works with you. There has to be something in there, in the discipline that you want. All right, discipline is not going to supply all of that for you. It will help you if you want something, but if you don't want it, you forget about it. Point number 3. Today's topic is why your discipline feels like punishment. It is because your discipline was somebody else's idea. This does not work. The reason why discipline as somebody else's idea doesn't work goes hand in hand with point number 2. It isn't something that you actually wanted, it's something that somebody else wanted for you. Maybe you wanted a little bit, but they probably wanted more than you, so they created the whole discipline for you. Now you're trying to follow it because they said it. Problem is they want it more than you do. Problem is they care about it more than you. No wonder it's not working. This one is a loser from the very beginning. When you try to implement a discipline that someone else supplied, but you don't want it or you don't even care about it as much as they did. Discipline can work when it is imposed on you if the imposer of the discipline has ample authority over you. For example, if you're in the military and there's a drill sergeant forcing you to be disciplined in a certain way, they're forcing you to make the bed a certain way so there are no creases, at least from what I've seen in the movies. I've never been in military service, and anyone who has been, you can correct me on that if I'm wrong. Or yelling in your face and making you wake up at a certain time where you only get, again, I'm just going off what I've seen in the movies. They bring you to the chow hall to eat and you get a certain amount of time to eat your food. And if you don't finish eating in that time, then you just don't get to eat. They just take your tray or you got to leave and that's pretty much it. That kind of discipline can work because you respect the authority of the person in charge enough that you're going to do what they tell you to do, even though you don't really want to do it, at least maybe not at first. When you are growing up, you have parents who tell you to clean your room and you'll do it even though you don't really want to clean your room. You do it because if you don't, you might get grounded, they might take your phone, or you might get your ass kicked, depending on what kind of family you grew up in. If you have a boss and they're telling you to do a certain job, you don't really want to do it, but you do, because if you don't, then you might not have a job. You won't have a paycheck, then you can't take care of your family, et cetera, et cetera. All right, you understand these examples. When someone has the right amount of authority over you, you'll do whatever they're telling you to do. But even then, in many situations, and the ones that I can relate to with a parent or a boss, if a parent or a boss is trying to force their disciplines on me, I will follow because I don't want to get grounded or get my ass kicked. I don't want to get fired from my job. However, I'm only going to give the bare minimum. I'm going to do enough that I satisfy what my parent or my boss told me to do, but not so much that my parent or my boss, or not so much that I'm over delivering to my parent or my boss. I'm not going to over deliver to that person. I'm just going to, I'm going to do enough. I'm going to do enough that I'm good, but not so much. I'm not going to give a shining performance of whatever it is that my parent or my boss is making me do. You understand? And any of you who's ever been in that situation, right, as the parent or the boss trying to force discipline upon another person, they're going to do enough to keep you off of their back until or unless there's something in there that they want. So this is, if any of you's ever taken any type of courses or trainings or workshops on leadership, I mean, this is what they tell you, right? To lead people, you want them to actually want to do the things that you want them to do. Now, if you want to be a boss and just boss people around, you can tell them, all right, you need to do A, B, C, D, E, and F. And if you don't, then there's going to be hell to pay. And if they believe in that hell to pay, they'll do it so that they can keep you off their ass. But if you want people to really want to do it and that they're going to give their best performance and even go above and beyond, maybe even do more than you told them to do, they have to actually want to do it. So for you, reverse engineering this back to our original perspective of you being the person receiving the discipline or utilizing the discipline, it has to be your idea. All right, so your parents telling you to clean your room, unless you happen to be a neat freak who just keeps your room so clean your parents never had to tell you that, you would have to actually want to clean your room. If you want to be in shape, or you had to actually want to be in shape more than your trainer wants you to be in shape. That'll help your trainer look amazing. That's a good example right there. And this is something that I talked about I did an episode on how to be a great, or how to find a great coach or trainer. Great coach for business, sports, or life. This is episode number 1120. You know the number one way to find a really good coach or a really good trainer or a really good boss? You know what the answer is? Be a great client. The best coaches out there had the best players. John Wooden said that. The legendary UCLA coach who won 9 championships in NCAA with basketball. He said, how do you become such a great coach? He said, because I got the best players. How was Phil Jackson such a great basketball coach? Does he coach Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal? He had the best players. All right, the best coach in the world, you give them terrible players, give them terrible clients, or maybe not terrible, but just not the best coach clients and players, they're not going to do so great. This is just the way that it works. Now, somebody who's really great, you give them less than optimal tools. They'll still look good, but they probably won't be at their best because they don't have the best tools. So you out there, for you to get this discipline to work for you, first of all, it has to be your idea. And if you want other people to do great working with you, you got to find people who actually want to do the things that you want them to do. If you're forcing them to do it, you already starting off on the wrong foot. If you're a person in charge, remember that the more involved the person feels in a process, the more of themselves they will put into executing it. That's the way that it works. So my question is that I'm gonna leave you with here today. You need to really think about this. For any of you who's been struggling with discipline, and I know there are many of you, that's why I did this master class. What are you willing to be disciplined for? Where are you willing to put discipline in place? And again, it should hit all these points that we talked about here today as we recap. Today's topic, once again, why your discipline feels like punishment. And discipline can be a hard thing for any of us if we use it the wrong way. So that's why today I'm sharing with you why you feel as if your attempts at discipline are costing you a lot more than they are gaining you. Number one, you have to remember to do it. If you're remembering to do discipline, that means there's no system in place to ensure that your consistency hardens into a discipline. Create a process, follow processes, because processes will work for you. All you have to do is follow them. And at Work on Your Game University, the first thing you're going to get into is the Work on Your Game system. We give you the entire process, how it works and where you can follow it so you can get to where you need to get to. Point number 2, you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't really want to do. All right, discipline does not work when you're trying to force it. This will always fail in the long run, even though it may work sometimes in the short run. Even if you succeed at forcing yourself to do it, in the long run, it's not going to work because you will hate yourself, or you'll hate the process, or you will hate the result that you achieved because you resent having to do it in the first place. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you resent what you're doing, even if you are successful at doing it. What do you actually want to do? What do you actually want to do that you're willing to go through the pain and get the result? Point number 3, it was somebody else's idea. This one is also a loser from the start. Discipline can work when it's imposed on you if you respect the imposer enough, but you will only produce the bare minimum in many cases just to keep that imposer off of your back until or unless there's something in there that you want. So if you're a person in charge, remember that the more involved the person feels in the process, the more of themselves they will put into executing it. If you are the person, you need to be really involved and emotionally bought into whatever that process is in order for you to get the most out of it and give the most to it. The question I'm going to leave you with here today is, what are you willing to be disciplined for? If you're looking to take our 30 Days to Discipline course, also the Bulletproof Mindset course, and get access to the entire Work on Your Game system, as I mentioned here a couple times already, join us in Work on Your Game University, where you access all of that and more, and you get access to me. You get access to our community where you have questions about your discipline, about your execution, about putting processes in place. We'll get them answered. You can get on our live events, talk to me directly, bring your questions. You're going to leave with answers. That's all at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.